All right, let's talk about a big idea that might just flip how you think about success. We're diving into emotional intelligence, a concept made famous by the work of Daniel Goleman.
For as long as I can remember, we've all kind of been sold this idea, right? That a high IQ is like the golden ticket. It's the number that's supposed to map out your whole life's potential. But is that really the whole story? I mean, really?
Well, according to psychologist Daniel Goleman, the answer is a big fat no. He basically argues that we've been looking at intelligence all wrong. This obsession with IQ, it's way too narrow. It makes us completely miss a whole other set of skills that are actually the real game changers when it comes to how we do in life.
So here's what we're going to do. First, we'll get into the whole premise of EQ. Then we'll talk about mastering your inner world, your own head. After that, we'll look at navigating the outer world. And of course, we'll wrap it all up with the big takeaways you can actually use. All right, let's jump right in. First up, beyond IQ.
So if IQ isn't the whole picture, what is? Well, Goleman calls it emotional intelligence, or EQ for short. And let's be super clear here, the definition is key. This isn't just about being nice or having good manners. It's a real skill set. It's the ability to, 1, notice what you're feeling and what others are feeling. 2, figure out what those feelings mean. And 3, use that info to guide what you think and do next. Goleman's big claim? This is a way better predictor of success in life.
Okay, so EQ is really built on 5 main things. First, you've got self-awareness. That's just knowing what you're feeling as you're feeling it. Then comes managing emotions. Can you handle your feelings so you can bounce back when things go wrong? Third is self-motivation, which is all about channeling your emotions to help you hit a goal. Fourth, and this one's huge, is empathy, being able to read emotions in other people. And finally, handling relationships. This is what makes people good leaders, or just people you actually want to be around.
All right, that's the theory. Now let's get practical. How does this actually work? We're going to dive into mastering your inner world, and we'll focus on 2 emotions we all deal with, anger and sadness.
So Goleman tells this classic story. He gets in a cab in New York, right? And almost immediately, the driver gets cut off. He just lays on the horn, screaming at the other driver. Then he turns back to Goleman and says, "You gotta yell back. At least it makes you feel better." And honestly, a lot of us kind of believe that, don't we?
But here's the twist. It's a total myth. Goleman calls this the ventilation fallacy. We think that venting our anger gives us some kind of release, that we're letting off steam. But the science? The studies show it does the exact opposite. Venting actually just makes your anger last longer and get stronger. It's like pouring gasoline on a fire. It just revs up your emotional brain and leaves you more ticked off than before.
So what's the better way to handle anger? It's actually a pretty simple 3-step process. First, just breathe. A few deep breaths can literally slow your heart rate down and calm your body. Second, take a walk. But, and this is so important, don't just stomp around thinking angry thoughts. The point is to get moving without stewing in it. And third, reframe it. When that negative thought pops up, catch it. Maybe even write it down. Then challenge it. Look for a more positive or at least a more understanding way to see the situation.
Okay, what about sadness? Well, the real enemy with sadness often isn't the feeling itself. It's this thing called rumination. When you just get stuck in a loop, dwelling on all the bad stuff over and over. Goleman gives this great example of a saleswoman who's feeling down. Because she's worried about her mood, she puts off making sales calls. But then, not making the calls makes her feel like a failure, which you guessed it, just makes her feel even sadder. It's a total downward spiral.
So how do you break out of that? The secret is distraction and action. And this might sound weird, but Goleman points out that sometimes even just having a good cry can keep you stuck in that rumination loop. Some much better strategies: get some exercise. It literally changes your body's chemistry. Go score an easy win. That small task you've been avoiding? Just do it. You can also reframe the situation, same as with anger. Or, and I love this one, go help someone else. It is an amazing way to pull yourself out of your own negativity.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about managing what's going on inside. Now let's flip the script and look outward. Let's talk about how all this applies to navigating the world and influencing the people around you.
And a perfect place to see this in action is with something we all have to do: give feedback. I mean, look at this. On one side, you have the terrible critique. You're screwing up. It's harsh, it's personal, and it gives the other person nowhere to go. But on the other side, you have what Goleman calls the artful critique. It starts with the specific problem. The main difficulty is that your plan will take too long, and then it offers a path forward, a way to fix it. I mean, the difference is just night and day, isn't it?
So what's the recipe for a good critique? It really comes down to 4 simple things. You got to be specific. You have to offer a solution, not just a problem. Whenever you can, do it face to face. And maybe the most important rule of all,
Be sensitive. Show a little empathy.
And this all connects to another fascinating idea called emotional contagion. Get this. Your emotions are literally physically contagious. There was a simple experiment where two people just sat facing each other in silence for 2 minutes. That's it. And in that short time, the mood of the person who was more emotionally expressive literally transferred over to the other person. It's like catching an emotional cold. And we've all felt this, right? You walk into a room and you can just feel the tension, or you listen to an amazing speaker and you feel energized. That's emotional contagion at work.
And this is where it gets really powerful. As Goleman puts it, this ability to kind of drive the emotional state in someone else, that is the absolute heart of influencing people. And we're not talking about manipulation here. It's about recognizing that the emotions you put out there create a ripple effect that touches everyone around you.
All right, let's pull all this together. What are the big things you should walk away with?
Let's make this super simple. 4 key takeaways. When it comes to anger, remember, don't vent, reframe. For sadness, you gotta break that rumination cycle with action. When you give feedback, be artful about it. And when it comes to influencing people, never forget that your emotions are contagious. You set the tone.
So, we've covered a ton about what it means to be emotionally intelligent. But, knowing this stuff is one thing. Actually doing it is something else entirely. So, I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. Which one of these emotional habits are you going to work on first?